the actual class. And we'll go to Facebook. If you guys don't mind, we'll share as we've got Josh Bieber on board from our Facebook class. So from our Facebook post. So that was all worth it, just so we have Josh on board. And hang on one second, my friends. I'm going to just get it running over here. This is called using Facebook for spirituality and holiness. Good. A lot of depressing stuff on there. This is the good stuff. Okay. Okay, good. Awesome. Here we go. It's very fascinating, very interesting story in today's Chumash. Very, very interesting. Follow along and we'll learn some new stuff as we continue to learn today's class. Today's class is dedicated by David Strumeyer. Thank you, David, for making this and many other classes possible. Yashar Koyach. Verse number 1, Vateitze Dina Bas Leah, and the daughter of what happened. So if you remember, let me just recap quickly. Yaakov and Esav met up, and Esav told Yaakov, let's go together, I'll travel with you together, and Yaakov said, please do me a favor, you go ahead, I'll meet up with you down the road, as we learned in yesterday's class. And Yaakov goes to a city called Shechem, which a lot of problems happened to the Jewish people. Even Abraham, when he traveled by Shechem, he made a special prayer in the city when Abraham originally came to Shechem. Anyhow, something's going to happen here. Watch the story as the family leaves Lavan. Remember, they left their father-in-law Lavan, they were living in a very dangerous place. Lavan wanted to kill them. God protected him. Esav wanted to kill them on the way. God protected him. And now they're finally trying to settle down. They lived for 18 months in a city called Sukkos, a town called Sukkos huts, where they built huts for their animals and their people. And now they're traveling not too far away to a place called Shechem in the north of Israel, Nablus, and they're going to live over there. And this story takes place. Vateitze Dina. Yaakov, as far as we know, has one daughter, and the daughter's name is Dina. And the Torah says, Bas Leah, the daughter of Leah. She was Leah's daughter, right? He had 4 wives. She was the daughter of Leah. Now, it's very interesting. Why didn't you say the daughter of Yaakov? Why are you calling her the daughter of Leah, not the daughter of Yaakov? We'll tell you in Rashi in a moment. Asher Yolda Yaakov, but it's the daughter of the wife Leah, who was given born to Yaakov. Liros Bivnos Haaretz. She went out to look among the daughters of the land. She went to go find some girlfriends. She went out, right? They purchased, Yaakov had just purchased a little field for a lot of money next to the city of Shechem. They're trying to kind of live next to civilization, I guess, move into a property next to the city of Shechem, not too far from where they were. They purchase this property, and Dina, the girl, goes out. She's looking for some playmates, some girlfriends, and she's going to find some friends. The Rashi tells us, why does it call her the daughter of Yaakov and not, why does it call her the daughter of her mother Leah and not the daughter of Yaakov? And Rashi answers a very interesting answer, that she was a daughter of her mother, like daughter, the famous statement he brings here. There's a statement like mother, like daughter. She was not acting like her father Yaakov, she was acting like her mother. What does it mean? She was very outward going, and some people might argue sometimes in life that could be a little too much. If you're hanging around with too much with the wrong people and too front, it could actually bring problems. In life, it's not always good to be the most sociable person, the most outward going person, hanging around and with all kinds of people and so on, because it could bring problems. So Dina had some of her mother's characteristic Leah inside her, which she maybe, pushed the bar perhaps, I don't know if you could say that, of going and socializing with different crowds where maybe it might have been a little dangerous for her to get involved with. And he says, where do we see that Leah had this characteristic? He says, interesting, we see that if you remember the story, when Yaakov came home from work and Rachel sold the rights for that night that she was going to be with her husband that night to her sister Leah. Leah approached Yaakov, went out to greet him and said, hey, Yaakov, you should know you're in my tent tonight. And that also showed a little bit of too much, discussing maybe intimacy in a kind of a way that is a little more open than maybe people should be more a little bit protective of that. Even, I guess, with her husband, the way she did it showed she was a little bit too comfortable maybe with it. And her daughter had that characteristic in her too, and that's going to be problems although on its own it might not be something wrong, but it could bring to other issues. So this girl's going around, she's hanging around in the town nearby in Shem, very friendly, maybe again, as you would say, a little too friendly. And Shem, ben Chamor, there's a guy there in the town, his name is Shem. He's the son of Chamor. Chamor is the head of the city of Shem. So they're living in a town called Shem. The guy in charge of the city, his name is Chamor. He's the Nasi Haaretz, he's the prince of the land. And the prince of the land has a son whose name is Shem. And this guy Shem sees this girl, he's attracted to her. And he takes her. And he has intimacy with her in the normal way, but also vayana, and he also violates her, shaloi kedar, as Rashi says, also in an unnatural way. So he had intimacy with her in the regular way, and Rashi tells us also, he also afflicted her, also did it in a way that is violating to her. Now, you should know, I looked up in some of the commentaries just to get the story straight a little bit, it was a big no-no, it was a big taboo in this time to have intimacy before getting married. The world was destroyed. One of the big reasons in the times of Noach, not too long before this story, is because of immoral relations. And the world accepted on themselves to be very, very careful with, even though it's not a violation of the 7 Noahide laws to have intimacy before getting married, the world at the time was very, very strict about it. And they accepted that this was a no-no. We're going to be very careful with our intimacy, and we're only going to do it through marriage, and only going to do it right. Especially Yaakov's family, the Jewish people, had a very strict rules about this stuff. And it was like rape, basically, to have intimacy with a girl without asking her parents and without getting married was considered, like today, as if it would be rape. That's what it was considered kind of at the time. So it was a big no-no that took place. Verse 3. So he's with this girl, but with Yaakov's daughter, and this is the daughter of the great and holy Yaakov. This is the mother, a sister of the leading tribes of the Jewish people. And his heart cleaved. He really loved her. He really wanted to marry her. Bas Yaakov, the daughter of Yaakov. It wasn't just a one-time thing. And he loved the girl. And he spoke to the girl's heart. He told her things to convince her that she should marry him. Rashi says, what did he tell her to convince this girl, to convince Yaakov's daughter Dinah that she should marry him? How did he convince her? He says, look, your dad just bought a little tiny piece of property near our house. You know what they charge your dad for that? They charge him a tremendous amount of money he had to give up just to buy this small property near our town. If you marry me, I am the son of the prince of the town. All the property will be yours. Imagine how much money you paid for one little piece of real estate. You marry me, and you get everything for free. It's all yours. All you do have to do is marry me. And it seems like the girl might have been, influenced and convinced by this other guy. So he wants to marry her. So, but he's not, and he didn't marry her yet. So Shem goes to his father. The boy goes to his father, Chamor, the prince of the town. Lamar, and says to him, he says, take this woman as a girl for me. I want to marry her. Arrange the marriage. Let's go. Go to her family and arrange it. But Yaakov hears that they defiled his daughter Dinah. This terrible defilement, which was considered rape in those days, happened to his own daughter. Yaakov hears this family. What a violation took place to his own daughter. Uvanav hayu es mikneu. Basada. When Yaakov finds out about the story, his sons were not home at the time. Why? Where was everybody in the family? They were in the field taking care of the animals. It seems like, it was quite a distance. And they would pasture the animals at a distance, and nobody was home. Yaakov kept silent until they came home. He didn't say anything. He didn't want to say anything. He's going to wait for the boys to get home and tell them about this terrible tragedy that took place to his own daughter, to this terrible sin that happened with his own daughter. So the prince Chamor, Avi Shem, who is the father of the boy Shem, Yaakov, he goes out to Jacob to speak to him. He's going to have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. He wants to arrange the marriage. And meanwhile, Yaakov's sons come back from the field. When they heard what's going on, that this terrible thing happened to their sister. And they were very grieved. They burned fiercely. They were extremely angry. The brothers were very, very upset. How could this happen to our own sister? Committed a scandal in the act of Israel. We have the Jewish people, the father, the mother of the Jewish people, and this terrible scandal, this terrible thing takes place. Lishkav es bas Yaakov, to lie with the daughter of Yaakov out of wedlock. considered rape. No such thing should be allowed to be done. To violate a girl. This was an accepted thing, as Rashi explains here. This is after the flood. We all accepted that the relations people have are going to be done wholly and correctly. The world was destroyed because of this. And here we have the daughter of Yaakov himself, right? In today's lingo, being raped, being done to her. This is something that's unacceptable. This cannot go on. This cannot happen. So the conversation now takes place between the boy's father and the girl's father. Vidaber Chamor Itam. So Chamor, the prince of Shechem. And remember what happened here. Yaakov's family on one hand is a very prestigious family. They're the grandsons of Abraham and sons of Isaac. Everybody knows they're princes. They're loyalty. Tremendous holy leadership family, right? And they're now kind of strangers in a land that's not theirs. They're living right next to a city, a town, a big city, a big town full of people. And remember, understand what's going on here. The Jewish girl is violated by the prince of the town, where they're kind of like guests, and they just moved into town. And the story takes place between the Jewish girl and the boy, the prince of the town. So Chamor, the prince of the city, speaks to them. My son Shechem, he wants to marry your daughter. His desires, he really wants to marry your daughter. His soul, his heart desires your daughter. Give her as a wife to him. Let's make it a marriage, not just the violation that took place. Let them get married. My son really wants to marry your daughter. And he continues his speech. The prince speaks to these new people who just moved to town, to Yaakov's family. We'll get married, we'll intermarry together. Our town will marry with you. Your daughters, you'll give to us. Kind of like you'll give your daughter to whoever family you want to marry. You choose which guy you want your daughters to marry. You'll take whatever girls from us you want. We'll make a very good. It's kind of, he's like giving them like, you'll choose who you want. Let's all get married to each other. Let's intermarry now. And the land you'll sit with us, should be before you. You could remain there. You could do business here. You'll settle. You'll become one family, one community. We're not going to be like the new kid on the block in town. You will become part of us. You'll do business with us, and you'll settle with us. And Shechem said to his father and her brothers, the bachelor says to who wants to be his future brother-in-laws and to Elavia, to her father, to Yaakov, he says, find favor in my eyes. Whatever you want, I'll give. However much money. You quote the number. Whatever it is, you tell me, I'll do it. Verse 12. Make it a large amount. Make it a big marriage settlement. Make it a big, we have the ksuba in the marriage. Make it a big ksuba, big marriage commitment. Whatever it is. Mayhar, the marriage settlement, umatan, and gifts, ve'etna, and I will give it. Just, I'll give you whatever you want. Just give me the girl as marriage. I would like to marry this girl. Obviously, he was deeply in love with this girl, Leah, and he really, really wanted to marry her. And he's basically offering whatever you want, I'm going to give to you. He says, name the price, quote the price, and I just want to marry your sister. I want to marry your daughter. I'll give you whatever it is. Now, you have to realize, Yaakov's family is very angry about this, about what just took place over here. They violated their daughter, basically raped their daughter, and now they're coming and they're asking for marriage. They're offering, the town and the people and so on, and they're trying to pull it off. So what does Yaakov, what happens? So Yaakov's sons answered Shechem. Ves Chamor, and Chamor, the bachelor, and his father. Aviv, b'mirma, with trickery. And Rashi says, with wisdom. Why? And they were allowed to deceive them, and the Torah kind of gives them the excuse for tricking. Ve'dabru asher timu and they spoke because their sister was defiled. They just raped their sister, and now they're going to deal with them in a way that they deserve, not a straightforward way. They're going to play a trick and do something very, very strong. And they tell Shechem and Chamor, they tell these two people, the bachelor and his father, we can't do this thing. To give our sister Leish to a man, Ashali Arlo, who's not circumcised. It's a disgrace to us, that's like, it's an embarrassing. They call someone, you're you're uncircumcised. There's a defect in you. You know, if someone wants to make fun of somebody else, they call them an uncircumcised person. So how could we even think about allowing our sister Dina to marry an uncircumcised guy? Not possible. You're moving in over here. We have the Jewish people, one mitzvah we have, and that's bris milah, that's circumcision. You want to join the family? Sorry, you're not circumcised. However, we will consent if you want. We will agree to the marriage. If you be like us, if all the males in the city of Shechem, the city which we just moved next to, if you all circumcise all your males, you got a deal. No problem. You want a deal? We can't have us circumcised, you not circumcised, and we're going to start marrying, right? Half the men, what's going to happen over here? Half the people circumcised, half the people not circumcised. So he says, listen, here's the deal. Circumcise everybody and you're become like the Jewish people, get circumcised. And we will join. You got a deal. And we'll give our daughters to you. You're right. We'll choose which husbands from your community you want for our daughters, and we'll give our daughters to you. So and we will choose which girls we want from your community. And we'll sit with you. We'll be one nation. Right? We'll get together. We'll be one nation, and we one people. Right? Remember, as I'm reading this, remembering how the forefathers always chose a wife not from Israel, always from like the Syria area, from Padan Aram, from Haran. They always went back there to choose for family. And now we're going to see actually Jewish people are going to start marrying other people, and that's what they're trying to do over here is integrate them with the locals. We'll give our daughters to you, and we'll take daughters from you for us. We'll sit together, and we will be one nation. So Rashi says, we see from the Yaakov's response, and also from Chamor, what the prince told Yaakov, and what the sons of Yaakov told back Chamor, that even the people, the locals of the city of Chamor, city of Shechem, looked at Yaakov and his family very prestigious. They basically said, choose whichever girls you want from us, and choose whichever boys you want from us, and it's at your discretion. Basically, you could choose, because it's an honor for us to marry into you. You'll be able to choose whoever you want, and we will marry together. Now, Shechem and Chamor are going to have to go back to their city and get everyone in their town to agree to this deal. When they get back home, they're not going to lay out the deal the same way they laid it out to Yaakov and his family, because no one's going to buy into it. So they actually flip it when they get back home to their locals and they try to sell this partnership, this marriage with these new people that move to town. They're going to say the opposite. They're going to say, we could choose whatever girls we want from Yaakov's family, and we could choose whatever boys we want from Yaakov's family, because there's no way this is going to sell. And you'll see that in the words in the Chumash. So Yaakov's sons finished the conversation. If you don't listen to us, to be circumcised, we're going to take away Dina, we will go. So it seems like Dina is still at home back in the city. She's with, where she's going to go, and she's with the daughter. And Yaakov's son basically says, you want any relation with taking back Dina, no bris, no circumcision, no deal. Either circumcise your whole town or you're not going to have, or nothing doing. And their eyes they looked at the good, between the father and the son, Shechem ben Chamor, the son of Chamor. And now we see, I think maybe Rashi before, Rashi later is going to say, is that it's pretty crazy that the prince, Chamor, is doing all this just because his son Shechem wants to marry this one girl. But Rashi says somewhere that this son was like his prized possession. He was like the future. I guess this guy was like destined for greatness. This was the son that he wanted to please out of all his sons. He's like, whatever, forget it, move on, get another girl. No, but what this son wanted, it seems, was very impressionable to his father, who was the prince, in charge of prince of the town. Maybe also they wanted to marry into the Jewish people because Yaakov's family was very prestigious. And the young man didn't delay in doing what was asked of him. Because he really wanted to marry Yaakov's daughter. The verse says, and he's the most prestigious of his whole father's house. So his father, I guess, went along with the plan. The Torah says it itself, that he was the guy that the father really loved. So now the whole town's going to go through with this whole thing of getting circumcised. So Chamor and Shechem, the father and the son, come to their gate of their city. They spoke to the people of the city, saying, and here's where they sell it to their city. These people, they're shalom, they're at peace with us, they're of whole heart. They want to become one people, the new people on the town, they want to become one with our community. And they'll settle in the land, and they'll do business, and The land's very big, very open. There's a lot of space there. And Rashi says, don't worry about business. So many people are bringing their trades here and their goods here, and there's nobody to buy it. This is a great economical advantage for us to have these people in town. As they'll buy, they'll purchase. It's a very good idea. We'll take their daughters. We'll give our daughters to whoever the guys that we want. This is a very good deal. Let's do it. However, with one condition. There's only one condition that they want. All they want is to sit and become one with us, the Islam Echad, to become one nation, to circumcise all males. That's the deal. Just like they're circumcised, they can't have it to be different. They're circumcised, we need to be circumcised, and then we got a deal. And Miknehem, Bikinyanim, and here's their continued selling point. Miknehem, Bikinyanam, their cattle and their property, and all their beasts. It's going to be ours. We're going to own all their very rich, wealthy people. These are people we want in the town here. We will now, the town will grow with having all their possessions part of our town. All we have to do is consent to what they want. They'll sit with us, and then they'll be with us. V'yishmael Chamar, and the people of the town, believe it or not, listen to Chamar and Shem, the father and son, Chamar and Shem. Kol Yotzei Shar Irei, anyone who came out of that city, out of the gate of that city, V'yimal, and they circumcised Kol Zachar, Kol Yotzei Shar Irei, and they circumcised all the males who left the town. And here's where the dramatic part of the story takes place. It was the third day after they were circumcised. When they were in great pain, right? The third day of the bris, we see a number of times in the Torah. Also by Avram, when Hashem came to visit him, is one of the most painful times. Yakkov, the two sons of Yakkov, Shimon and Levi, whose names were Shimon. It was two out of these 11 sons that they had at the time got together, right? They were also Dinah's brothers from the same mother. They were the sons of Leah, Yaakov's second son and third son, Shimon and Levi. The brothers of Dinah, they were Dinah's brothers. Now, everyone was Dinah's brothers, but Rashi says a few things here. First of all, they were Yaakov's sons, but they did not act like Yaakov's sons. Why not? Because his son goes to his father and gets advice. His father Yaakov would have never agreed to what they are about to do. And they were like Dinah's brothers because, more than the rest of the brothers, because here they're risking their lives in order to avenge or to save their sister Dinah. And Vayikach Ishcharba, Achei Dinah Ishcharba, they took their swords, Vayave al Ha'ir, and they came to the city, Betach, with tremendous confidence. Rashi says, why were they so confident? Because all the people were in a great pain from all the males just had a bris. So really, they're not going to have too much competition of people standing up against them. And number two, Avram Avinu, many years ago, their great-grandfather Abraham came to the city and he prayed. He saw something's going to happen here, and he gave a prayer for them, and they were confident they were going to be successful. Yargu Kol Zachar, and they killed every male in the town. And I believe it's on the commentaries, they held that for rape at that time, the punishment was the death penalty. It was the 7 Noahide laws, and they considered this to be rape, and the two people who were backing this case deserved to get killed, and in their eyes also the town did not take the punishment measures to these people that needed to be punished for their crime. They backed it, and therefore they held that the whole town needed to get punished for capital punishment for what they did. And they go in and they kill all the males in the town. They killed Chamar and Shem, the father and the son, the Ficher by the sword, as Dinah, and they took their sister from the house of Shem, and they left. Now, I'm going to share with you something fascinating here that Rashi doesn't share, but something really, really cool, which I'm not going to speak about now. You have to join us in a few weeks to get the rest of the story. Dinah became pregnant from this prohibited marriage, and she's going to have a child. The child's name, I believe, if I remember, is called Safnas. And that girl, that daughter, is going to be Dinah's going to be shunned, kind of. And the kid, is going to be shunned by the family because it was born from this prohibited marriage, and it will be sent away to Egypt, and that is who Yosef is going to marry. Very, very fascinating story. If you haven't heard it yet, Yosef, gets sent also as a young teenager to Egypt, to Mitzrayim, and he gets married, and he has children there, Menashe and Ephraim, he has there. But who does Yosef marry? This girl that was sent away from the family, born from a prohibited relation. Again, these are some of the commentaries on the verse. It's not for today's class. When we get there and we learn about it in Rashi later on, which I just pointing it out here because I don't want you to forget this part of the story But we learn about it later on. Verse 27, Bnei Yaakov bo ala chalalim, the sons of Yaakov came, the people that were killed. They undressed, they took off the gold and the silver from the people that they killed. They plundered the city, that violated their sister. As Tzainam, as Bakarim, they took their sheep and their cattle, as Chamereim and their donkeys, as Kol Asher Be'ir, everything the city, as Asher Basad Lakwa in the field they now took all the possessions from everything the city. As Kol Chelem, all their wealth, as Kol Tapim, all their infants, as Nashem and the wives, Shavu, they captured. And they plundered all that was in the house. They took everything to themselves. So they took them captive, and they took the people captive, and so on, as was done. Today, obviously, it sounds a little bit much, but that was the style in those. That was normal in those days. So Yaakov turns to his son Shimon and Levi. Now, what does Yaakov say about this? It's interesting. This is all the brothers. Again, this is almost like today, a lot of times among the Jewish people, you have a debate. Are we going too far? Are we doing too little? There's the people who want to fight, want to go to war to protect someone. And there's people who say, no, let's go through peace. Yaakov was just, this is my own, I'm pointing it out. I didn't see this, that Yaakov was just like bowing to Esav and trying to make peace. And here you have the sons of Yaakov who went and they go and attack everyone that violated their sister. And here we have the conversation between Yaakov and his sons, or specifically Shimon and Levi, who just killed all the males in the town. Vayomer Yaakov al Shimon val Levi. So Yaakov tells his son Shimon and Levi, Achartem oisi, you have troubled me. You created tremendous trouble for this family. Lahavisheni v'yosh ve'aretz, you embarrassed me. You discredited me. The whole land of Israel, the people living in Canaan at that time, which was Israel, are looking at us. We were a prestigious royal family, and now you turned us into murderers. But Kanani, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, Vanim say Mispar, I'm so little, I'm so few, we're nothing. Vanessa will lie, look how big our family is. They're going to gather against us. Yikuni, they're going to attack me. Vinishmadati, they're going to destroy me. Ani Uvesi me at my house, they're going to kill us now. Look what you did. You went and attacked the city of Shechem. We're this little tiny family here. You have the chutzpah to do this. And my mind is muggy. It's like blacken. You blacken my name. Like when you take water and your water becomes all muddy, you blacken my name. We had a prestigious name among the country. We were this holy, royal, dignified family. Look what you did. You went and turned us into trash. You made us a very, very bad name among the community because of what you guys did. Right? And now we'll be attacked. We're so few. We're going to be attacked by the countries that were near us. And we're so few in numbers. I saw one of the commentaries explaining on Rashi here that everybody knew that the Jews will eventually take over Israel, right? It was promised to Abraham. Everybody knew that. But nobody thought at that time that Yaakov, such a few, will take over Israel. They thought it would take many years to come. So I guess maybe people left him alone. But all of a sudden here, Yaakov and his sons are starting to kill the locals. They're going to gang up against them. So he's telling he's really giving his sons, admonishing them. And by the way, he screams at them also, but before he passes away, he also goes at Shimon and Levi and says, he actually skips over Shimon for the blessing. Like we'll learn when we in a few weeks from now before he passes away. He's very upset at Yaakov and Levi for what they did. And what are the brothers Shimon and Levi's response? So Shimon and Levi say, we should make our sister like a harlot. What? We should let her be raped and then just be quiet and do nothing about it. Are you kidding? This is not something that should be done. There has to be a response. It doesn't matter the circumstance that you're scared. Something has to be done. You can't just let this go by. And I just find this interesting how this is sometimes among the Jewish people a debate. When the Jews are attacked, some will say, you know what, better keep quiet, keep your head down, don't say anything. You don't want to get the neighbors angry. And other people will say, how could you allow such an attack to take place? It's a very interesting conversation. We're still going back, all the way back between Yaakov and his sons. Verse 1, Yaakov. So God tells Jacob, go up, Beis-El, to the city of Beit-El, where you came from, where Yaakov lives. Go back to there, or actually which was Jerusalem at the time. Remember the house of God, B'shayv Sham, and settle there. Yasi Sham Mizbeach, and make an altar there. Le'el Hanira Elecha, to God who appeared himself before you. Originally, when you ran away from Esav, remember Yaakov had that whole dream with the ladder as he was leaving Israel, traveling from the central south of Israel up north. Go back to that place and return there. And Hashem, Rashi's telling us that God's giving him a little bit of rebuke. He's like, it really was not right. The reason why you had this whole story with your daughter was something wrong that you did. What did Yaakov do wrong? Yaakov was supposed to go back. He made a promise to God. He said, God, I'll go to Laban's house. I have nothing on my back besides my clothes because he lost all his money to Esav's son Eliphaz, and just make me wealthy. I'll come back. I'll donate I'll donate 10%. I'll fulfill my commitment. I'll come back and I'll praise you back here on the Temple Mount on Beit El. But Yaakov didn't do what he was told. He went 18 months to Sukkos, and now he moves into the town next to Sukkos, near Shechem. And Hashem is kind of telling him, "No, head back already. Now I'm telling you straight out, you made a commitment. You didn't fulfill your commitment, your end of the deal. I blessed you so much and given you everything, and you're not heading back south to where you promised you're going to go." Verse 2, Yaakov tells his family, everyone that's with him, we're going back. We're going back to Jerusalem. Get rid of all the foreign gods, because you took money and silver and gold from this idol-worshipping nation, city of Shechem. Get rid of it. Ve'itaru, and purify yourselves, meaning get rid of the idol worship. Take off your clothes. Get rid of the clothes of other people that you put on, because there also might be idolatrous clothing. Get rid of the idols. Get rid of the clothing that have to do with idolatry. Move on from it, and the idols of the money of the idols and so on. Get rid of it. We're going to get up. We're going to go Beit El. We're going to go to Bethel, to Jerusalem. We're going to make we're going to make there an altar. The kel ha'oina oisi, to the God who answered me. V'yom tzarasi, in the day of distress, when I was running away originally. V'yihi madi b'derech shalachti, and it was with me this whole way that I traveled. Hashem has continuously protected me. Obviously now this seems to be the first negative thing that really happened in Yaakov's life. It seems because Yaakov was not heading back as he was supposed to. V'yitnu al Yaakov, and they gave to Yaakov. Oh, my computer's about to die. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. That's not going to be good. Hold on. Okay, I need a charger. Hold on 1 second, guys. Let me go plug it in. I'm going to teach over here. I just need a minute, okay? Because my computer's going to die. Give me 2 minutes, kiddos. Yeah, 1 second. Okay. I think we're good. Good. Okay. V'nakuma v'nala Beitel. Give me two more minutes. V'nakuma v'nala Beitel. We'll go up to Beitel. I will make an altar there. Like kel ha'oina oisi, to God who answered me the day that was afflicted. Verse Vayhi imadi b'derech asher halachti, God that was with me with the entire way. We'll make an altar there in Jerusalem. Verse 4. Vayitnu al Yaakov, and they gave Yaakov all this money. It's called all the idols that's in their hands. Vesnezamim, they had some kind of earrings. Vayitmain oisa, what? Nothing. Give her a tradition soup. Vayitmain oisam Yaakov, and yeah, give everyone one as long as you're quiet. Vayitman oisam Yaakov, and Yaakov buried all the gold and the silver. Tachas ha'oila Asherim Shechem, under the tree. There was some kind of a tree which did not have fruit, some kind of a tree. He went and he hid all the gold and the silver from the idols from Shechem. So if you want to go digging, I guess it's prohibited anyway because it's from idol worship. So we're not allowed to partake in it. Vayisu, verse 5, Vayi, and they traveled, but God made a big miracle because you could imagine other people would have wanted to attack them. However, Vayichitas elikim ala arim, the fear of Hashem was on the cities, Asher Sivayseim, that was surrounding them. But they did not chase after the sons of Yaakov. Nobody started up with Yaakov because everybody was afraid, miraculously, even though Yaakov was so small relative to this whole country of Canaan that they were in. Yaakov Luza, and Yaakov came to the city of Luz, Asher Beretz Canaan, that was in the Canaanite land. He Beit El, which is Beit El, the house of God, right? So it's the same name, Luz, and Beit El by Jerusalem. Hu v'chalam asher imay, him and all the people that were with him. And he brings the altar there finally. Vayivin sham mizbeach, he built the altar. Vayikra l'makom El Beit El, he calls it God who's revealed in the house of God. Kisham nigna elav, because that's the place where God revealed himself. When he ran away from his brother. Okay, so he when he ran away from Esau, God revealed himself. This is a place of revelation of godliness in this very special place. But Thomas, Devorah, just to finish the Chumash today, Devorah passed away. Inekes Rivka the nurse of Rivka's nurse. So this is interesting. It kind of completely changes topic here, and Rashi will explain the connection to us. But Rivka, going back to Yaakov's mother, Rivka, her nurse dies. So Rivka, we didn't know this. I don't think the Torah mentioned it before. She had a nurse whose name is Devorah. I don't know if you know the Jewish name Devorah today. I guess here the source for it in the Torah. So Rivka had a nurse whose name was Devorah. She passes away. Batikover, and they bury her mitachas lebeit el on the bottom of this plain on a mountain. I guess there was some kind of a mountain there by Beit El. On the bottom of that mountain, they bury her there. Tachas ha'aloin, again under a tree. I guess another tree. Vayikra Shemayim. They call it aloin bachos, and they called it aloin bachos. Or I'm sorry, maybe it's not a tree. It's an area called aloin bachos. There's just one interesting Rashi here on this verse. So here's what Rashi says. Aloin means also in addition. Here's the catch. There's something hidden over here, Rashi's telling us. It means that actually, there's a few questions here. Number one, who cares about when Rivka's nurse called Devorah dies? What is the connection to this whole story? I mean, how did Rivka's nurse Devorah get in to Yaakov's family? Rivka lived wherever she lived, right? Hebron, wherever it was. And she had a nurse. And here's Yaakov traveling back from Israel, gets to Bethel by Jerusalem. And all of a sudden tells us that she dies, that Rivka's nurse dies. So Rashi brings down a very interesting thought from Rabbi Moshe the Darshan. They called him the scholar Rabbi Moshe. The reason is because Yaakov's mother, Rivka, sent her nurse, I guess who kind of worked for her, to go to Haran and tell Yaakov to come back home, that Esav is not angry anymore. So she told him, come back, Esav's not angry anymore. It could be, I saw some of the commentary said, the reason why Esav's not angry is because Esav got all these gifts from Yaakov. So meanwhile, I don't know if she knew the story that took place, but she at least knows that Esav doesn't want to kill his brother anymore. So she sends her nurse to go call Yaakov back. Yaakov doesn't come right away back when the nurse comes. And that's why, it's just getting to the whole conversation here, why Yaakov is punished for not coming back right away, because the mother sent the nurse to go call him to come back, and he doesn't come back when the nurse is telling him to come back, which is why he will suffer. If you remember the other class, that his son Yosef will disappear, and he will suffer because he didn't listen to his mother when the nurse from the mother came to collect him to come. He didn't listen. Those who are following, remember the other day's Chumashes will put that connection together. But Rashi shares something else interesting. It wasn't just Devorah that passed away. Rivka herself passed away, Rashi says. The word alone in Greek means another. So in coding, he's telling you that Rivka also passed away. The same day, Devorah and Rivka both passed away. And it doesn't want to let everybody know that Rivka passed away. It's kept a secret. Why? Rashi's wondering, explains, why is it that nobody should know that Rivka passed away? You know, it should make a big deal. Just like Sarah buried, just like when Abraham buried Sarah in the cave of Machpelah in Hebron, the same thing here. Yitzchak should be burying his wife, Rivka. You know, there should be a big funeral procession. Why is it hidden? And he says, because since Rivka had a son, Esav, that it seems like a lot of people hated it, a very bad name. If they heard that Rivka, like Esav was the gangster, the murderer of the time, if they heard that Rivka passed away, everybody would have cursed Rivka, right? Oh, you know, good she died or whatever, would say terrible things about her because she mothered the son, Esav, who was such a wild person, dangerous person. So it seems like the Torah at the time kept it quiet, did not want, very interesting, that I never knew this before, and I was learning Rashi today and saw this, that they quietly buried Rivka because so people shouldn't say bad things about Rivka, who was the mother of Esav. Verse 9, God blesses Yaakov again after he arrived from Padan Aram, a second time. Once God blessed him when he left, once when he came back. Rashi says also God gave him, comforted him for the passing of his mother, because his mother passed away. And God says, and here's where God gives the same blessing and prayer that was said that the angel blessed Yaakov. Esau's angel blessed Yaakov. Same thing. God says to him, Shimcha Yaakov le'yakare Shimcha oid Yaakov. Your name Jacob should not be anymore Yaakov, which means trickery. Kiyim Yisrael. We're going to change your name to Israel, to Yisrael. This is where the Jewish people got their name. Yia Shimcha should be your name, which means a Sar V'nogid, as Rashi says. It's a prince, a chief. Yisrael, and God called him Israel. So it wasn't just the angel Esau who called him Israel, but here again we have God himself telling him that his name is now Israel. And God says to him, Ani Kel Shakai, I am the God, the Almighty, who has all the power. Rashi explains, I have the power to bless whoever I want. That's who I am. I'm God who holds the key to all the blessings. And I'm blessing you. Pray you should become multiplied and become many. Fruitful and multiplied. Goyu kahal goyim, nations and multitude of nations. Yim imcha will still come out of you, even besides all the kids, because you're going to have another child who will be born, your 12th and final son, Benjamin, Binyamin, who will be born to Rachel. And kings will come out of your loins, referring to Menashe and Ephraim. And that is the end of today's Torah portion. Let me just say that's the end. That's the end of today's Torah portion. And we're going to, I want to read the last Rashi here. Just like there are 70 nations of the world, so too, there's 70 nations will come out of the Jewish people. Same thing, and also there'll be 70 leaders of the Sanhedrin, the Jewish Supreme Court. And many, or another, Rashi learns it also as negative, that the Jews might act like Goyim at a later point in time, and they will bring idols or serve outside the temple like idol worshippers, which is also could be a negative connotation to it too. That is the end of today's Chumash. Any questions or comments on today's Chumash? Any questions or comments? I know we had a little disturbance in the middle of class, but anybody with us? Yes, Mitchell.
So essentially, did Hashem set Yaakov up by having him send Dinah out there in the very beginning to set up this whole story?
I'm saying like when it's an interesting question that Hashem set him up. When Hashem makes something happen, all the players I think everyone has free choice, but sometimes correct. But Yaakov did something wrong, but why did Yaakov struggle and suffer? Obviously, by his daughter getting raped, which is very painful for him. Why did he deserve that should happen to him? And Rashi tells us, I'm just looking at the story as I'm learning it with you now. It's very interesting because Hashem always protected him that nothing ever happened to him, right? Laban tries to con him, not con. Eliphaz, Esau's son, tries to kill him on leaving, he's not killed. Heading back, Esau tries to kill him, he's not killed. All of a sudden here, something negative happens. Why? And I guess he wasn't following, when he was following perfectly exactly what was supposed to, nothing bad could happen to him. But I don't know if the word is set up, but it left him vulnerable that he something bad could happen because he wasn't listening as fast as he should, I guess. Does it make sense? Is that a good way to explain it? I think. I don't know if what does it mean he's setting him up? I don't know if that's a good word. It's an interesting point you're making. I'm thinking if that's the right word to use here, or maybe another way to say it might be not that Hashem is setting him up, but that Hashem is allowing, if Dinah deserved it. Again, we also learned there was a consequence for Yaakov hiding Dinah from Esau. Remember, we learned that too. So Yaakov did a number of things that this needed to happen. So Yaakov should not have hidden Dinah. He should have left it in the hands of Hashem to decide if Esau should marry Dinah and not hidden her. So I think that answers part of the question. Any other questions or comments? We'll be good. Make sense, Mitchell? I hope that answers at least part of the question. It seems like it's... What? Sort of? Well, what were you asking? What was your question then?
That Hashem set Yaakov up because how many guys would send their daughter out in front?
He didn't send her out. She went on her own.
Oh, she went on her own.
That's what he's saying. She was not, Yaakov didn't agree, it seems, to her daughter going and hanging out with the girls and the way she was acting at that time. That's why he calls her the daughter of Leah, right? Rashi told us that she wasn't acting as befitting a daughter of Yaakov. She was acting like a daughter of Leah, and she was a little bit too, in the places where she wouldn't be, how she shouldn't be at the time. She was bringing trouble to herself, basically. Again, it's not.
I did notice in the beginning, like you pointed out, it states that she's Leah's daughter, and later on it referred to her as Yaakov's daughter.
Correct. That's why Rashi tells us it referred to her there as Leah's daughter, because she was Yaakov's daughter, but in the way she was acting like Leah's daughter and not like Yaakov's daughter in the way that she was acting.
Gotcha.
Okay, let us do the Tanya. We'll do the Tanya because I want to at least get the last 2 days of Tanya in. I know my battery's low and the kids are screaming behind there, but I'd like to end with you guys and learn today's Tanya. Okay. All right. Here we go. So the Alter Rebbe writes very powerful about the power of prayer. Very, very powerful. And he holds that today the most important thing is prayer. Unfortunately, a very big problem that people are not into prayer today. But he even holds that davening the way we should in today's day and age is more important than Torah study. Let's see what he says. And here's what he writes. It's a very personal, heart-wrenching letter to the people. He says it's not good, the news. Shamati, that I heard Batirkas Bitni, and I'm deeply grieved. My stomach is affected. That I'm deeply grieved by what I hear. Asher am Hashem ma'avirim lifnei hateva. That God's people are ma'avirim lifnei hateva isha chafetz b'chayim. They're not letting people go to lead the services. People that want life, barichus yamim, and want lengthy days. They're not allowing those people to be the ones to lead the services. That in the synagogues of the Hasidic Brotherhood, they're not allowing the people who want long life to go before them. Why? Because when you pray at length, not quickly, not shortly, that is a blessing for longevity, for long life. Like we see the rabbis of blessed memory say, there are 3 things, marichim yamav shel adam, lengthen a person's days. The echad mehetem, and one of them are hamarich b'tfilasei, someone who davens prolonged worship. He davens at length. Slowly, he doesn't run to the davening and knock it out. It sits and he davens and he thinks what he's saying. That is one of the 3 things that the Talmud says that gives a person length of days. What about someone that's very pressured? They have to get to a meeting or they have to catch the bus, as we have here in Manalapan and Marlboro. You got to catch the New Jersey Transit by this time and be at work by this time, living the kind of life which you have to get your davening out quickly. And you can't wait in the minyan till after the kedusha part of the repetition of the Amidah, which is the holiness, talking about God's holiness. You can't even wait till then. So it means wait till the Amidah. After the Amidah, there is the Hayom Yom and the Aleinu prayer and Kelokenu, and there's the repetition of the Amidah, and then there's the Kedusha part of the repetition. So at least, wait for that. This guy is so blocked. He runs into the shul. He's got to leave. He can't wait to there. So what does this guy do? He says, listen, I got to be out of here, right? This was the Chabad. I know a lot of us who traveled. It was a long time. If I leave by 5 to 7, I could catch the New Jersey Transit bus to the Manhattan, and I could be in work by, let's say, 8:30, whatever time it is. I could get to my work on 9 o'clock, 8:30, whatever it needs to be. So what I'm saying here, the big mistake would be if those people became the chazan, and they said, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be the chazan. I'm going to daven really, really quickly, and I'll make sure to finish the services so that I can get on the bus on time, and I'll do the whole services. So I'm saying it's a really bad idea. To do that, that's ridiculous. He says, better, don't be the chazan, don't finish the minyan on time. Let the minyan go slowly, and you leave shul whenever you need to leave shul. You're going to go into the shul and force everybody to knock off the davening and do it quickly. Don't be the chazan. Let the shul daven at its normal pace. People who love life, who want to daven slowly, and you leave the shul whenever you need to leave it. And now the Torah says you're exempt from being part of the services. You're exempt from being part of the services. You're exempt from being part of the services if you're not able to be there. And the guy who's chazan will daven slowly, and he'll fill your obligation to those people who it's impossible for them to daven with them. And you go home or you daven at your own, go to shul whenever you can, leave whenever you can. And the guy in the shul will help fill you in, and so on. I think I'm going to leave the class over here. There's too much noise in the background, but at least we learned part of the Tanya. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to leave it over here. Want to wish everybody a good day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you all for joining.